Hi, I'm Margaret Chan and welcome to Taking Flight, Our Singapore Stories. Now, I sort of think you know me, so I'm not going to waste that time since I've got such a big group and we're going to talk a hell of a lot. And guys, just look at this cup and you know that this is the boss. Is there an authentic Singapore so that there is not a Singapore where somebody has, by the way, a plane in the garage?
I have very strong views about the use of the word authentic. I have very strong views about the use of the term Singapore movie or Singapore television, or what is authentic Singaporean, or Singlit. That's the new one, right? Singlit.
Singlit, yes.
The way I look at it is there's literature, there's movies, there's television, and then there is, you know, a country called Singapore, and there are many countries in the world, and then there are stories about people who live in all these places. And to me, I don't, when I'm producing something, whether or not it's for television or whether it's for the stage, and who knows, in the future, perhaps for film, I don't start off going, how do I make this story authentic? I just start off going, what story do I really feel for? And how am I going to tell it in the way that I think is going to do it justice?
But there has to be some cultural response. There has to be some cultural response that you sort of like, no.
Of course, but...
Now that will never happen in Singapore. I mean, that kind of a thing.
No, but the thing about it, you know, Margaret, is that it's too general, you know, to talk about a term like authenticity. And I actually think that the act of trying to define things in Singapore as whether or not they are authentic or not is actually the reason why so many of our artistic fields actually drive themselves into a corner. They should just tell the story that they really want to tell and tell it the best way that they can.
I might say something is cognitive if you thought, okay, the damn thing will not sell. Yay, the seller, you know, speaking Singlish, I can't understand what the heck the fellow is saying. It's not going to travel, right? So I might say that. And I say,
I wouldn't agree with that though.
Go on.
Because when I'm not sure if we should keep harping on the word authenticity, but I feel it's important to use the word honesty, because
yes, okay.
I think it's always about a sense of truth, whether it's for actors or whether it's for directors or whether is it the space, does it feel truthful? And Singlish or not, I think when it feels honest, it sells.
Because we keep talking about this word authenticity, here's a new point. I have produced a lot for television, and for those projects, I got all my money from a Singapore institution, which is MDA. And how many rules and regulations are there in a grant in MDA that will allow you to go for absolute, let's use your terms, authenticity? Can I show two men having sex? Because it happens. It is honest. It's happening right now all over the island. Can I show a Malay petting a dog? It does happen. Can I can hardly show smoking. It's happening. It's your word, authentic. My word, our word, honest. How many of those honest depictions am I allowed to show with a government grant?
I don't think that you're being asked to make a Singapore movie, but you can make a hell of a lot of Singapore stories without a Malay petting a dog, for example, isn't it? So.
No, because we were talking about authenticity or honesty, and I'm just talking about depictions, you know, of the freedom of depiction.
I don't think many Malays in Singapore will pet the dog.
I don't think it's the degree or the number. I think it is honest depiction of stories that we want to tell. You see, I mean, ultimately, if we're talking about authenticity, which is currently the topic that we are talking about right now, how authentic are we allowed to be under certain government grants? Having said that, I continually go for government grants, and I will continue to go for government grants. And love working with NAC, MDA. Why? Because for me right now, all the stories that I want to tell are stories that I am free to tell with very, very little hurdles. But that is my honest position right now. Should I one day want to tell a story and something comes in the way of my honest depiction of that story, I will then, as a producer, fight it when it comes. Other than that, you know, we just take it one step at a time, as long as the genesis comes from how do I tell this story in the best way that I can, as opposed to let's make a Singapore, you know, sort of like story.
I think that if you are in a Singapore booth and somebody approaches you because you're in the Singapore booth, I think that is a Singapore genesis. Why not? Why do we always think only of stories and all that? I mean, I think that the fact that Singapore is making things happen is important, no?
I think what has changed in the past couple of years in terms of film production, it's the nature of co-productions. You know, there are so many Asian films. A very, very good example, you know, Popeye aside, a film like The Apprentice, Bu Jin Feng's film, you know, very, very fine film. But it's a co-production between France, Germany, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Qatar.
Have you been here before?
No, sir.
We're a maximum security prison. You'll be handling rehab prisoners. But here we also have punishment cells, and death row cells.
So when you look at any festival or, you know, a catalog, that's what it says. It says director Bu Jin Feng, Singapore, Hong Kong, France, Germany, Qatar. But so in a way, I think
super, right?
Yeah,
we don't box ourselves. We should not box ourselves.
No, but I feel that even a film like Popeye still identifies as a Singapore film because first, yes, of course, you could say, you know, by identity, Kirsten, it's a Singaporean. She grew up here,
yeah.
But outside of that, you know, it's produced by a Singapore company, you know, with a Thai company. But outside of those specifics, if you look at the issues involved, you know, the issues of aging, the issues of development, the issues of gentrification, the issues of urbanization, the issues of all that, you know, all those are Singapore issues.
I would like to be even more greedy, should I say. I'd like to put a chop on anything at Singapore and just really enjoy the fact that our Singaporeans are going out and doing wonderful things.
If we make it a very much more simple metaphor, if a painter is born in Singapore, grows up painting here, and then goes to Australia and starts painting an Australian landscape, what is that?
Yeah, it's just,
Is she still a Singaporean artist? Is the art still Singaporean? Or do you suddenly start to say, oh, well, it's an Australian artist now because she's painting somewhere else, or she's painting a different vista? Or I think to bring it all together, it is very much about the stories. If you're Singaporean or you live here or you have so much infused from this culture and this lifestyle, whatever story that comes out of you, I think can be we can say that it is Singaporean.